what we were allowed to do. We got free entry to the restaurants of Blenheim Palace, and I was like, oh right, okay.
Free food at the restaurants,
exactly.
Claire?
Then I thought, this doesn't mean free food at the restaurants. This means you're allowed, you're given the privilege of walking through the door of the restaurant, upon which you will then pay for your dinner. So all in all, it's quite disappointing. Although I did buy some nettle wine from the gift shop.
Oh, why did you do it? To be fair, I've drunk nettle beer before. Rather nice.
Have you?
Yeah, a friend of mine in secondary school was stuck at his uncle's for a couple of weeks, and thought, what better way to pass the time than to try and make those incredibly stingy things vaguely alcoholic.
Nom nom nom.
And sort of gathered up a load of them, brewed them for a week or so, and then we drank them on the art roof. And I tell you what, they weren't awful. They were like just a really bad lager. I wouldn't buy them, but they weren't appalling. On the other hand, they did sting slightly, and he was in denial. He said, no, they stank quite a bit. Like,
are you arguing over whether it should be sting or stang?
I don't
Stung.
know.
Stung.
Oh, sorry, they stung. That's the one. Yeah. I'm not an English student, Claire. I don't know anything. They stung quite. They stung. They hurt my tongue. They were prickly. They prickled me, and I complained, and he refused to accept it. What?
The listeners got it. I like to think the listeners got it.
I didn't get it.
But yeah, so does the nettle-based product actually sting you?
Oh, now I remember. Well, I thought it stung a little bit.
Because I can't say apart from that wine, which was quite sort of kind of abrasive towards the back of my throat, but then a lot of homebrew is, so I wasn't too sure. But yeah, no, Stonehenge is quite an interesting one actually, because like most suburban teenage girls, I went through quite an embarrassing phase in sort of when I was about 15, 14, something like that.
The good years.
The good years, good times, spots and no breasts. When I was very into Wicca.
My life still, Claire.
Indeed.
My life still.
You don't have any spots.
No.
So he does have spots.
But I don't have breasts either.
James has a few spots.
We're just insulting our friends. Oh, James.
We're not our friend. It's not our good friend James Darrell.
Sorry, James is sitting in the corner. Doesn't he have quite a lot of
spots? He's not actually in the corner anymore. He's crouching underneath a desk in the manner of a small dog at a banquet.
Is it me or his eyes? They're glowing red.
Are they?
Just slightly. Look, not just subtly. Like.
Bloody hell.
It's scary. Yeah. What's going on?
Can you
Is that there's something shiny in his pocket?
Can you see any numbers on his forehead, Ben?
There is a. Oh God.
Like
my God.
Never mind. We're sure James is fine, ladies and gentlemen. Rest assured, if there are any listeners who are concerned, we are taking the
Let's just ignore him, Claire. Let's continue the show.
It's just like
let's not be.
It's like
let's
death.
not be
just ignore it.
outfaced.
Don't recognise it. It won't happen. Fine.
Yeah.
But yes, returning to my embarrassing teenage years, I went through a phase of like being quite interested in neo-paganism and Wicca, and I blame this primarily.
Did you? Yeah. I didn't know that.
On the fact that I was brought up in a secular family when I was a child, and therefore wanted to fill this gap with whatever crap came to hand, and I chose velour. And so there's an awful lot of pulsing around in capes and doing spells and saying blessed be at the end of every conversation. And Stonehenge is a big deal for these people. It's a big deal for druids.
Yeah, Arthur Pendragon. I've seen that guy. He was campaigning against him moving the...
Do you know what else happened to him?
He just called himself Arthur Pendragon. It's not a thing. He's just decided that he's called Arthur... It's not anything to do with Druidism.
Precedent, but it's a bit of a
No, it's not. He's completely unrelated to any of them. He's just decided to call himself Arthur Pendragon. It's not his name. His name's not even Arthur. It's not Arthur something else. Is that actually Cliff?
That could be, for all I know.
Oh, right.
Dennis.
I believed you because of your presumably massive knowledge of
inner wicked knowledge. But interestingly, druids are the only people who do not have to pay to go into Stonehenge. And I smell a rat. I don't know about anyone else.
How do you become an official druid?
You grow a long beard, wear some gowns, and also carry a sword in your boot. And
I was about to say I could do that, but I couldn't do the beard bit.
It's funny if you've seen them. And the sword bit also, because after a solstice of sorts, I'm not entirely sure which one. I'm going to go with the summer solstice, because I think every sort of solstice and equinox, the druids have a little gathering at Stonehenge, have a little party, and then go home. And there are lots of not sacrificial, I think is the wrong implication to this. Very very peaceful order, but they do have swords involved because it's seen as like a phallic symbol, and B, it's kind of pointy.
Is that actually why they have swords?
Yeah, because it's the idea of channeling energy, much as one might channel jizz. And so, if any druids listening, I'm incredibly sorry.
Ding, 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 second
We've offended the druids.
Second. I was going to say, oh no, double gong. So I've offended the druids and a second bodily function.
Hooray!
Yay!
I'm going to talk about phlegm later and why it's not spelt how it sounds.
Oh, phlegm's not really one of the funny bodily functions.
Guitar is a funny. I like guitar.
Guitar's funny.
Massive lulls. But yes, on the way back from Stonehenge, all these druids were in their cars. I don't know what car a druid would drive. I like to think a Range Rover. And they were all like going back off the motorway, and the police had a whale of a time searching all these people's cars because they were crammed to the hilt, literally, with swords. And then the druids were like, "No, I did not kill anyone with it. I was channeling the ethereal spirit of the sun god, you noob." And on that basis, it's quite a risky business being a druid.
That is usually whenever I get into trouble with the law. That is my number one go-to. I was just channeling the spirit of the sun god.
Yeah.
When I stole all those things and killed all those people.
Lady. She was the devil in disguise.
The sun god made me do it. It was the sun god. Like, Ben, rub that old lady. I need her things to reflect my rays. God. Yeah. Oh yeah. Should we put a song on? We haven't had songs yet. Anything druidic themed?
Druidic themed. I'm trying to think. Are there any bands that specifically?
Let's search Stonehenge and see if there's a song that comes up.
We could have John Barleycorn.
John Barleycorn.
John Barleycorn. It's like a classic sort of folk pagan song.
Go for it. Never heard of him.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's a bit awkward, I don't know how to say this, but during that song, James got up from his corner, reached over, grabbed Ben on the arm and led him quietly out the room. I thought about following them, but I was a little bit scared, to be honest, so I'm still here. Oh no, Ben's coming back. Hey, what? Is James with you?
Oh my god. He just... Oh, fuck. He just flipped and dragged me out of the room into, like, the bathrooms.
Oh, the bathrooms?
He didn't, like, he just bit me on the arm. And then he sort of grinned. Man. And I sort of ran out. Like, it's weird.
Can I see the wound?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's quite bad. I mean... It's like... It's like fang marks.
I've never seen a wound like that before.
It's glowing slightly. It's
that pulsating.
Fuck. I'm starting to feel a bit weird, actually. To be honest,
okay.
God.
You don't have any water.
I'll slap myself out of it. Yeah. Okay, back to the show. Hopefully.
Well, actually, as a
hopefully
quite awkward segue, that wound might be quite useful material for. We're starting up a blog, which should be up and running tonight. So we'll be, if you're friends with us on Facebook, we'll be linking it to you there, and if not, hang on till next week, and we'll be plugging it then as well. We'll have podcasts of every week's episode, sort of compressed into like a nifty 10 to 15 minute chunk. So if you couldn't make the show itself, then you can always catch up on that. And then we'll also have like photos and sort of further discussions of things from the show. And I think if we could just get a photo of that wound, that would be quite an interesting blog post.
Yeah.
Sorry to just milk your moment of.
I'm sure it's
fear
nothing. That guy, he's gone off. It's probably
which way did James
I'm
go?
sure he doesn't have
It's quite a big building. It's got quite a few levels. How far down are we? Like, I'm considering the window, to be honest.
I don't know. I suppose. Well, I don't know. Let's be professional. We'll have to pull through this.
Yeah. But this may be the last time you ever see us. But yes, so moving on from that slightly awkward moment with James there to, well, I suppose awkward moments generally. Ben and I were in the pub earlier before we came here, and we were just discussing, we're cool, we have a life.
No, we don't.
I do classics in English, of course I don't. This is my life. We were having a conversation about, like, awkward moments and how they still exist now, even though you think now in the sort of, not exactly the real world, but we're now in the sort of slightly...
The post-awkward age.
Post-awkward age. We're now, like, fully... Was that a scream? I'm pretty sure it was nothing. We're now in that sort of, like, post-gangly... We're, sort of... You joke about these things. We're sort of post that kind of spotty, gangly, breastless age that I was discussing earlier.
Once again, still breastless.
But yeah, that sort of feeling. And that these awkward situations do still arise. Isn't that right?
Mm.
But you were saying you had a anecdote about that, I think.
Yeah, so I was in a public toilet where I spend most of my time, and I was walking out, and there was a guy sort of like walking out as well, and I thought I better hold the door open for him. But he just walked right in the door, so I felt like I'd sort of pressured him into walking out. So I was sort of like holding the door open. He sort of reluctantly walks out the door, and as he was sort of about to, it occurred to me that maybe like the reason he was sort of reluctant was he was going to wash his hands, and I sort of almost pressured him with my politeness into following me out the room. And he sort of eventually he eventually sort of follows on, like walks out, and as it sort of occurred to me, I said to him, I didn't want to be rude, so I was like, did you want to wash your hands? At which point he just looked quite dejected and walked back to the sink to wash his hands. So from his perspective, I basically just sort of opened the door out for him in order to sort of goad him into leaving, in order to then have a go at him about his personal hygiene.
Oh my.
It was just one of those stupid further moments. Any awkward moments for you, Claire?
Well, I was going to say, like, lose are quite sort of awkward environments, really. Sort of, like, we're talking about body functions, I do like to pretend we don't have them. But, like, I don't know, I think...
Do we pretend we don't have them?
Some of us talk about them far too much. But I think given, like, we're all here at Oxford, it's quite like... I think the Oxford interview setup is rife with potential for awkwardness. Like, you only have to hear there's all sort of anecdotes floating around, most of them rubbish, around the internet about, like, people who opened a door on their way out, realised there was a stationary cupboard sat there for, like, 10 minutes, etc. But I have a slight awkward moment of my own. I'm not going to reveal any names, because obviously I'm a student here, I don't want to, like...
Please reveal some names.
I'll reveal some names later if you ask me kindly. I was interviewing at a college, again, I'm not going to name the college, for English, and usually the setup for an English Oxford interview, I don't know if it's the same for other subjects, you have two people that, like, the interview's kind of split. So for half of it, one person will ask you questions, the other will take notes and, like, look at your body language and make sure you're not a pleb. Yeah, I'm joking, Oxford is perfectly egalitarian. And then for the other half, they kind of switch around. So I went into this person's office. It was really nice, like, quite nicely decorated office. I should point out that I'd previously knocked on the door, had it opened by the owner of the office, who then said, "Could you wait one moment, please?" So I sat back down. He shut the door, literally a second later reopened it and was like, "Now you may come in." So instantly I was thrown off my guard, and I'd had some previously some quite nice interviews, so this was quite unpleasant. So I went in a bit nervous, you know, wearing a shirt and tie, a bit uncomfortable, sat down, and then we got on with the interview, and I had a poem that I prepared beforehand, so I was back on home turf, started to get into it a bit. The first guy who interviewed me was really nice, I felt we got on quite well. And then, sort of 10 minutes in, we then switched over to the other guy who'd been sort of brooding kind of maliciously in the corner of the room. At which point he just looked at the poem, he had a copy too, and just went, "Syntax, talk to me." And at this point, it's quite an odd thing to say. And I don't know why I said it, but I was kind of in a bit of a banterous mood, so I just said, "Only my friends call me Syntax," expecting at least a titter, at least a mild titter. At which, well, I thought it was brilliant too. Thanks very much for the support. At which point, this bloke just looked at me, completely, not even a tiny corpse, it was just completely, like, dour-faced, and just went, "Well, I suppose we better call it a day now, hadn't we?" At which point, I was made to walk out of my interview a good 20 minutes shorter than it was intended to be. I just thought, well, I've not got in. And
what a horrible person.
I know, it was hideous, but I'm here now. I'm not now at the college that I interviewed at, but nonetheless I got in. And this is, hopefully, if any of you listening who have not, who are hoping to get into Oxford and have not got in yet, like, have comfort in this anecdote, because however much you may cock up your interviews, someone will take you.
I meant to swear twice during mine.
Did you?
Yes, I